Welcome back everyone to another video. I'm DK.
And I'm Sharkman.
And today, guys, we are finally going to be talking about the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I don't know if this is going to be a two-parter or not. It depends on how long we go into talking about this. But this is probably our favorite out of the three Narnia movies. At least it's my favorite.
Out of the three newer rebooted versions of it, yes. So which will always be numero uno for us. But as far as like the reboots, it's our favorite.
Right.
Even though everybody else hated it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know the reason, but I prefer to just say for some reason because it makes me less mad. So.
Mm-hmm. So, for reference, in the book, Caspian is 16, Edmund is 12. Lucy is 10 and Eustace is 9. In the 1989, the original, Samuel West, who played Prince Caspian, he was 23. Sophie Wilcox returns as Lucy and she was 14. Jonathan Scott returned as Edmund and he was 16. And David Thwaites, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce his name, who played Eustace, was 13 years old. In the remake...
He was chubby.
Yeah, he was. In the remake, Skander returns as Edmund. He was 19. Georgie was 15.
Ben Barnes also returns as Caspian, and he is 30. Is that what it says? I can't tell.
And Will Poulter, who played Eustace, was 17.
Even though he doesn't look 17, he looks more like 15 at least.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna go through like how, like this was a little confusing of how like where the events went like through the movies because the remake they did the majority of where they went and stuff, but sometimes out of order. So I'm just gonna put here like how like each event happened in the book, so I don't have to go through it all because that would take forever. But we will go through each event as far as comparing them to the original and the remake, just so you guys know.
Right.
So I guess the first part we should talk about is how they get into like the beginning of the movies. I forgot to mention this in the last video that the end of Prince Caspian in the original actually ends with Edmund and Lucy in the bedroom that Lucy was staying in when they were with their cousin Eustace. And they talk to, Eustace comes in and they have a conversation, and it ends with them being pulled into the painting that's in the room. That's how the original Prince Caspian ended. If you remember.
I remember how the Voyage starts because I can't.
They just
for some reason I was about to say, don't they just do a recap? So it's basically the same.
So the beginning is, Eustace is a
except I feel like they argued a little bit longer in the beginning of the Voyage Dawn Treader. Like the old one, they ended Caspian because they were kind of trying to wrap up Prince Caspian. So they didn't really have as much time to do like the banter or whatever.
Yeah, and also Eustace was trying to act smart, but he wasn't really that smart, considering.
But isn't that Eustace's character? I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that his character in the book?
Yep.
He's like supposed to be like the smarty pants that like knows everything.
Knows everything. Reads books, like advanced books, but like because his parents kind of have the expectation of that. But at the same time,
are jerks, even though we don't really get to hear them talk very much, really.
No.
We don't really hear. They don't really have any lines. They're just like there. They just talk. Like they don't really like show up really, except for like their uncle. And it was mostly his leg. Like you don't actually see like Uncle Harold or whatever. You just kind of like see him reading the paper, and then it like shows his like leg because he's
yeah,
on
and
the
banter
thing.
Yeah, the banter, especially so like in the beginning of the remake, it's Edmund trying to enlist into the army, but he's not old enough to do it, and you know, you see Lucy starting to be like worried about her looks and stuff, and
that seems like I feel like that's every trope in every movie nowadays, where they have to have the whole, the girl hates how she looks, so she has to, go on this, I hate my looks, the whole entire movie arc that they have in movies nowadays, and I hate that. It's like, not, like, why they always, like, that's the one thing I don't like about that kind of a movie, is when the girl always has that kind of, like, or at least one of the main girls has that, where, like, they're basically being a 5-year-old because they don't look like, it's really irritating.
Right.
And that's, like, probably one of the few things I don't like about that movie.
It's the one thing that I don't like about the Dawn Treader was that they, like, focused on that part, but at the same time I can understand, because like the only time you ever figure out that she had a problem with her looks was when they go to that island of the Duffel Cup. Anyway, so the difference is basically in the end of Prince Caspian you get more of their banter, while in the Voyage of Dawn Treader for the original they end up just being sucked in, and that's where you start the movie. Kind
of. I mean, they do have like a little banter. Well, see, in the Caspian movie, it's like they skipped a little itty bitty bit that they actually have the banter before they get sucked in the end of Prince Caspian, and they just shows them walk into the room, talk for like a second, and then get sucked in. But in the beginning of the original Voyage of Dawn Treader, they actually have a little bit more conversation before. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, I don't know. Unless I'm forgetting wrong.
No,
but that's what I remember, because I have to rewatch. Like I said, I should have rewatched that today just so I could like get it fresh in my mind. But I didn't think about that. So and it's like an hour and 30-some minutes. So
another thing about Eustace is that he tries to use big words in the way he talks.
But that's what every person who tries to be smart does. It's like this what the smart character in pretty much every movie does, is they use big words to make it sound like fancy and stuff. Like,
Yeah. So, I mean, if you, like, for, Edmund and Eustace's characters are pretty similar. We'll talk more about that in the character discussion, but yeah, I think that's why I like Eustace, is just because he reminds me of Edmund a little bit. But I just like the actor who does, like, his acting. I just like the actor who does it, and, like, his actual acting of the, like, his actual, like, performance, so to speak. The character. Yeah. What did you think about the paintings? The difference in the paintings?
Like the way they look.
Yeah, like cause like when
I know that it's old, like the old movies of like old like 19 something or like early 2000s, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like in the 1990s, early 2000s, something like that, or like 1980s, something like that. I have to look it up again, but it's somewhere in there. And so it's kind of because I like watching them like over just because I like to see how bad like the CGI and stuff is when they get sucked into the paint and it's just like they float into the water.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, it's just funny. It just looks funny. But as far as like the paintings themselves go,
I was sorely disappointed in the remake painting. Because it's like the boat's like this big in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, it's an actual, like in the original, it's an actually.
Yeah, that is something I will say about the original that I did like more about than the reboot, was the fact that there is an actual painting of a ship, like that was the main focus of the painting rather than it being like just an open ocean. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't mind them having another painting like that in the reboot, where it's just like you can see like in the background there's a painting, another painting with like a ship in like a storm or something like it is in the reboot. But I feel like the main photo I always say photo, but I meant painting. The main painting should be more about the close-up boat, and then you can have
because of the lines they say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
like Lucy, have you ever seen this ship before?
Yeah, what ship? It's like the size of an
ant. Like
only Ant-Man could see that ship, bro. It's like this like big.
I also kind of like the way they get taken into Narnia. Like
in the like old one or the
new one?
The new one has a cooler way of getting.
I mean, I do like the idea of getting sucked into the painting.
I wouldn't mind them getting sucked into the thing if it was more like, I don't know, if they got like sucked in, it would be cooler if they like if they did go that route, if they like sucked them in, but instead of sucking them in, like, and then just plopping them like how they do, like it's just like kind of goes through the painting and then just drops them down or whatever. Like make them like fall through the sky like 10 feet and then drop. No, I'm saying like it would actually feel like an actual portal because in like portal like movies with portals or whatever, they just fall through like the portal and then just like land. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying they're going to go down that route. They could have done it that way and it would looked better than just picking him up, making him like float like this and then drop. Like you know what I mean? Because they're doing like this, like and they're like
that's hilarious. Another thing that is told both in the book and in the original is that Lucy can't swim.
Lucy can't swim.
Lucy can't swim is what it says in the book and in the original. So in the remake...
Huh? What? So, how does that make any sense? Because she... Well, then that's another thing that's inaccurate, because apparently she survived the river incident and didn't, like...
They didn't have the river incident in the original, though.
Yeah, well... I'm talking about, but I'm saying the remake. That's another thing that's I'm saying as far as like inaccuracy. That's another inaccuracy for the language in the wardrobe because if she can't swim, they mess. It doesn't make. That's like another thing that they're not getting. Like, I don't know.
It doesn't really matter because like they end up having to get brought back up onto the ship.
Yeah, true.
Caspian.
But then why would she say? But she says Eustace swim twice in both both versions. She says Eustace swim, and then they like. So if she can't swim, you haven't seen the old one in a while. But from what I remember, she says it in both versions. She says, swim or whatever.
I heard. I mean, I watched a little bit of it.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
And she was saying they were yelling for help.
I don't know, bro.
Because they were drowning.
Again, how would she have done that if she's so bad? Because you still have to like float for like a good minute at least before they could. You don't get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make sense at all. It don't make sense.
So it doesn't. I think they just dropped that.
I think they're just dropping that piece of lore that's like, or like they're discarding that piece of lore that I don't know.
Okay, out of the two ships, did you like both ships or did you like the newer one better? Like,
that's a hard one because like there were some aspects of the old one that I liked, and then there were some that I thought were better in the newer one. Mm-hmm. Like the old one looked more vibrant and more like colorful, while the newer one looked more dark and had like had darker colors and like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was more of like emerald.
Yeah, it was more of like so it was like, I don't know, I kind of liked both just because they had those two different like, I don't know.
Yeah.
How is it? Do they even describe what it looks like in the book?
They do. I don't. Oh well, actually, I don't know. It's been a while. I think they do, but I think... Yeah, I don't remember. Exactly.
I don't know. Cause I was just asking because you read the book, so I didn't know if, like,
So, how about, like,
But I thought they both looked pretty good, like,
So they kind of, like, in certain parts for the remake, certain parts they stretch, and other parts they just shrink, as far as, like, certain, scenes. Mm-hmm. So, like, in the original... Because I watched certain scenes because I wasn't so sure about, I couldn't remember very much.
Right.
So when they first get on board the ship in the original, Eustace immediately starts like you captured me, like I'm going to report you.
Right.
And also you remember the fight that Eustace and Ruby Cheap have in the remake?
Yeah.
That all happens in that one scene.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't like it as much. in the original.
It's not as comedic.
Yeah. So and also they don't even have the Minotaur on board, the old one. Which is something I said.
See, like that's why I like about the reboot is that they made those scenes more funny.
Mm-hmm. Also,
than the original.
Yeah.
Like there are some parts that I thought were funnier in the original, but as far as like those scenes, like those types of scenes, I think the reboot did better as far as like comedic value. I feel like it's better.
Yeah.
Like just executed better.
I loved it because it was more lighthearted, and Will Poulter did an excellent job with Eustace. It's like that rat thing tried to take my head off. Like I was
that rat tried to claw my eyeballs.
It talked. Did you just see that? They talked.
It just talked.
It's like
he always talks.
It's getting him to shut up.
That's the trick.
It's like
it's
I demand where the places am I?
Where the blue blazes am I? You're on the Dawn Treader. The finest ship in Narnia's navy.
Was this something I said? It was so good. Well, the other one was.
It's like a zoo down there. Like I wish they had done that line in the original because that was like one of my favorite lines that Eustace says. It's like it's like a zoo down there. Like that's hilarious. like I don't know. I don't know. I know he doesn't say that probably most likely he doesn't say that in the book, but I mean, it's funny. Like
yeah. So
comedy. It's comedy.
So for the Lone Islands, it's way different. That scene is different from both movies. So the original is more like the book.
Obviously,
like I'm just gonna say the original is way more like the book. But to be honest, like I've said sometimes, like it's better. Like I like the improvised, or like the way the new Dawn Treader kind of made it more fun, peppy and stuff. While the old one is just like homage to, like, so I like both. Okay, right. I'm not gonna say I like one over the other. Right. It's just that.
But there are different aspects of each that make them better than the other.
So for like the Lone Islands, Caspian, Reaper Sheep, Eustace, Lucy, and Edmund all go on the island. Right. They meet the thieves. Right. People. They're
the slave traders.
Yeah, the slave traders. They're taken prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot to mention that they're looking for 7 lords that were friends to Caspian's father during his reign.
His like advisors, I think was what he described them as. Was like,
Yeah. So they're looking for them, and the
No, they described him as his dad's felt like most faithful like companions or like faithful Yeah,
supporters.
Supporters, yes, faithful supporters. That's what they said. Yeah. So sorry about that.
Yeah, so they get to this island and they're taken to be sold as slaves, but the Lord one of the lords one of the lords is on the island. He's settled there. He's like,
he's imprisoned.
He didn't leave with the other 6.
Did they have him in the original?
Yeah, he's just walking over. He's living there.
Oh, okay. Well, in the reboot, he's in prison.
He met them. He took Caspian.
Because
Caspian resembled his father a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, Caspian's father.
Also, I didn't know this, but in the reboot, I just found this out like a few days ago. Caspian is using Peter's sword. I didn't know that until like a few days ago. Like when they first get attacked in the reboot, like with or whatever, and they're like fighting. I didn't realize he was using like Peter's sword. I thought he was just using like a random sword.
Because Edmund did say Peter gave it to you.
Yeah.
So,
and then he got to use it. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
So I forgot which one it was. Which one it was, like
Lord Rube? No, Lord Rube's at the end. Lord, I was gonna say Beckett, but that's not right. I
can't remember. But anyway, Caspian was able to call his ship and all his army and like everything. They took back the Lone Islands and saved their friends and stuff in the original. And the remake, Reuniting doesn't go with them.
Yeah, Reuniting doesn't actually go to like the actual island itself in the remake.
That scene is so hilarious because Eustace screams and he's like, "If you don't want to hear this one scream like a girl
again." You said Edmund or Eustace? I thought you said Edmund for some reason. I don't know why.
We shall see how I said it.
I don't remember. We got it on film, so we'll yeah.
Yeah, so like he I like that the way they did that, but like I'm not sure how I feel about the Mist. How did you feel about the Mist? Because they
didn't have that in the
book or the original, and also the two characters, Gale and her father were not in.
Yeah.
They're just new.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about it?
How did I feel about it? Why did you feel about it?
I didn't even think about it. Like until people pointed until people pointed out that never happened, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. But
yeah.
I kind of liked how like.
But did you think it was like good enough, like a good enough threat to be a part of the film, or did you think it was better the way they did it originally?
The way they did it originally was boring. Well, I love C.S. Lewis's book, and I love the original. I love different aspects and the way they did it.
Exactly.
It's just that there wasn't as much of a threat.
Yeah, there wasn't much of an urgency, really.
Just that there was a bad guy on the thing, and you just had to dethrone him, and then Caspian took back the. But there was not even that guy was not even in the remake.
Right. Yeah. So
it was just the slave traders.
Again, though, it wasn't. I would say that I liked the Mist because it gave more of an urgency. Like it actually gave a purpose to like. You know what I mean? Like, it gave a purpose to actually go to a specific location to get, you know, I don't know. It gave it more, I guess it did give it more of a purpose because they had to hasten their pace to get to a specific place to save the world, essentially. From, like, I don't know. I just feel like it I know a lot of people probably think it's kind of cheesy and dumb that it's in there or whatever, and it doesn't serve a purpose or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, it actually gives it more of a threat. It gives it more of a reason to actually continue the story forward, rather than they take it like in the original where they just fight the dude, take the Lone Islands back, and then they just fight the monster at the end. That's it, basically, pretty much. And you know, like it actually gives more depth to the story. It gives, you know, I don't know.
No, you're right.
And that makes any, at least to me, that's how I feel. Is it gives it more story, more like it gives. You know what I mean? It gives more plot than just, there's a bad guy, we defeat him, and then we defeat a giant inchworm-looking thingy from the ocean, and then that's it. Like, you know, I don't know.
Well, a slug anglerfish, that's what it, like,
I call it a slingler.
A slingler.
But for real, though, I just think it just gives the movie more depth, more like, it just makes it more interesting, in my opinion. But
and also, I mean, the only thing I liked about the original for the Lone Islands is that Caspian anoints the Lord to rule over the Lone Islands for him.
In the reboot, or not the reboot, the old one, the original.
The remake, not so much.
They just
freed them and claimed the Lone Islands as the Narnian land.
And then they dipped.
But one thing I do like about the remake also is they gave purpose to the swords. Like, there was no purpose for they were just looking for the lords.
Right. Oh well, you did give it. Yeah, you gave. Speaking of which, you gave them the sword, and then they dipped.
Yeah.
And Caspian gave Edmund to whittle the sword.
Right.
Whittle.
Whittle.
What they call it? That's what it's called, whittling. Like when you whittle, like you know what I mean, like where you kind of like etch like the. You know what I mean? Like he was trying to like undo like the coral and like that kind of stuff that was like on that had like grown on the like the blade or whatever. So I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it gave, as stupid as this sounds, it gave Peter's sword more of a purpose. I feel like it gave Peter's sword more of a role and a purpose in that aspect as well, because his sword turned out to be the one that was glowing at the end. Like, all the magic from those 7 swords, they basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, his sword was special for a reason. Like before the 3rd movie even came out or whatever, we kind of suspect, or at least I did. I kind of suspected that Peter's sword was special because
it had to be
when he first gets in the language and wardrobe, they hold on that shot for like a really long time. So I was like, it has to be like some sort of special magical sword.
I really liked how they did that.
Compared to other swords, because they held on for so. You know what? It's different. It looks different from other swords. So it's like it has to be. There would be no point in having this really cool looking sword if it didn't have some sort of power or something that would like. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased and I love Peter's sword, but like that's.
One sword to rule them all.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I could just be biased, and I just like Pierce sword, and that's why I'm just trying to like make an explanation as to why I love it so much. But that's just the only reason I could think of why they would put so much emphasis on that one scene in line with the wardrobe on the sword, and because it's a special sword that Aslan himself gave to him, and it has like some sort of special like something about it, you know. I can't. I don't know. I just feel like if like you hold on a specific item in a movie like that, like an action movie, for that long, and it just like, you know, it's gotta be some sort of special weapon. You know, I don't know. It could just be me, but that's just like how I view. I don't know. Yeah. I'm a big Peter sword fan, so like, or at least I'm a big Narnia fan, but specifically his like sword. Yeah. I don't know.
And he doesn't deserve it.
What do you mean?
Edmund deserves that sword more.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that. But anyway, I just need to point that out because I was like, because we were already getting to the whole sword thing. I just needed to get it off my chest of what I meant. Yes. I don't know. I'm obsessed with it. I really am. I'm obsessed with the sword. Like, his sword is just, to me, it's unique, and it's just too cool. It is too cool to not be like, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying because I love his sword too.
I'm getting too hyped. We just need to continue with like.
Yeah. So the next thing is them being in a storm, but they kind of glaze.
Give me the water, please.
They kind of glaze over the storm in the remake with Eustace writing in his journal. Remember? Eustace writes it in his journal during this whole thing. Oh yeah,
whole debacle.
Yeah. It's not until after that storm that Reaper and him have a match.
The Reign of Terror, so to speak.
His fighting match in. Also, Reaper is so different in the remake as far as he's more patient.
I also like that scene when he's writing his journal because he's like writing about how annoying Reaper is as a roommate because like he's like, I don't know. It's just, like, their banter is funny to me. Like, that's a good, in my opinion, that's a good version of good banter and like rivalry, I guess. Like a good example of what good rivalry is. Because
it also makes sense of how they grow a relationship.
That's what I'm saying. It's a good example of what a good rivalry turned friendship is. Like, I don't know. In my opinion, that's how it is. But so I am obsessed with this movie, and I hate it because people who watch it are like, it's the worst one. It doesn't have any good plot, character development, mumbo jumbo. You are wrong. Okay, you are dead wrong. I will. You know what? I need to calm down. Oh, let's just continue. I'm sorry. I just need to say it.
After that, they have to stop at an island to replenish. In the book and in the original, that's the island that Eustace turns into a dragon.
Yeah, he like steals the treasure or whatever.
Yeah, but in the remake, it's the island where the duffel puds are.
The duffel puds. You mean the Cyclops foot people?
Yeah.
I call them Cyclops people because they only have 1 foot.
I don't remember. Like in the original, I did not realize they only have 1 foot in the original. I don't think you really see their feet.
Yeah, you don't really.
Foot. They're 1 foot.
Well, I think feet is a correct term considering you're talking about all of their feet instead of just like one. If you were talking about just like one specific person, it would be foot. But considering you're talking about all of them, I feel like feet would be correct because you wouldn't say like all their foots or whatever, like right?
Right.
Would you actually? I don't know. I feel like it would be like the correct term if you're talking about all of their like all of them. But like I don't know. I could be wrong.
I guess. Like, I don't know how to talk about this as far as, like, because you can't really compare the two scenes because, like, in the original, so what, Eustace turns into a dragon because he runs off, he's trying to do his own
in
thing.
the original, yeah.
Yeah, and then he comes to the cave where the dragon is. The dragon dies. The original dragon dies. He goes in, puts a bracelet on, falls asleep, and turns into a dragon.
A dragon.
Oh, dragon! A dragon!
Okay. Which one? Since we're on this scene, we might as well talk about it like as far as like as in depth as we can. I got asked, which one do you like better, the original version of this or the reboot version?
Kind of like the reboot.
I will say this. Reboot version also gives another reason to have the mist, because the mist actually gives a reason as to why he changes, because instead of him just putting on, because it doesn't really make sense that you just, you know what I mean, like it makes more sense that like an evil mist is what turns you into, you know what I mean, that combined with the treasure and like your greed or whatever, but it doesn't make much sense in the original because all he does is put on like the thing and then turns, instead of it giving an explanation as why he gets turned, you know what I mean?
The only complaint,
but...
the only thing I have a nitpick about it is it's because like in the book and the original, they make a great point about the fact that dragons can only fly for so long before they get tired, and they can't. And he wouldn't be able to land on the boat because.
In the original? Are you talking about the original or the reboot?
If you're thinking about it logically.
No, I'm saying like which version were you talking about? That they like
the original.
Okay, yeah.
And the book. They talk about they're Eustace Eustace actually doesn't write I am Eustace.
Right.
He lands on the beach and Lucy basically has a conversation with him about like asking him questions, and he like they would be saying stuff and he'd be shaking his head or nodding or whatever. And he uses his abilities to help them repair, but they're also talking about like, well, what are we going to do with him, because we can't take him with us, but at the same time we shouldn't leave him behind. And this is when he realizes that they actually do care about him and stuff. And when Aslan appears and like the shedding scene, it's basically gross. It is gross, but it's a symbolic thing of getting rid of the old,
getting rid of the greed.
The greed.
Because another word I would use is one characteristic that he has is arrogant, cocky, and greedy. Those are like three things you could use to describe Eustace in a nutshell, pretty much. At least before he changes his character and is nice. Like that's
also Aslan says some stuff. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he says stuff to him and stuff.
Right.
While in the remake, he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he just
And
there are again though, this is one of those things where I like both versions, but for different reasons. I did like the original because it had that whole thing where he has to like, he has to like learn to get rid of his old self by shedding, his scales, and he has to like, like those things I did like about the original version of it was that part, and that he actually did whatever. But I also liked the newer version as well, also because even though it kind of does contradict the fact that dragons can't really fly too long because they do get tired or whatever, it does give Eustace more of a actual fighting like major part in the third act, It gives him like an actual. It actually gives him the ability to actually fight rather than just being on the sidelines and, you know, like just like you know what I mean. Like it gives him a reason to, you know, be a part of the action rather than just being like how he was in like when they were captured and then they were like escaping. He kind of just like hid behind the thing or whatever.
Right.
It gave him more of a sense of like courage and stuff, and him Reaper Cheap telling, you know, that combined with Reaper Cheap or whatever, you know. So I like both versions for different reasons, but I think both of them are really good, and I kind of hope that the Netflix series combines both elements, sort of. Well, it's kind of hard to, you know. What I mean. Or at least as much of each as you can. Like, if you could just do, like, a nice mixture, it would be, like, I don't know. It would be great, but...
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do, because,
We need to... Also, if you do Silverchair, like, a season for Silverchair, we need to compare it to the Silverchair movie.
Yes,
or, like, whatever. Or, like, the old, like, Silverchair. So we can, like, compare what we like and don't like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because they didn't... We were looking forward to them making Silverchair, and you know, after Dawnchair, and they didn't do it,
Silverchair was
so...
our all-time favorite one.
It still is. I mean, it's got great characters, it's funny, it's got... Well, I mean, it's outdated, but it's got great action. It's like... It's everything you want in a Narnia movie, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Anyway, this video's gone on really long, so we're going to continue this in the second part, guys.
Yep.
So we'll see you.